You ever get that feeling that the world is run by, well, these invisible forces, where our best laid plans just seem to backfire in the most baffling ways? Well, what if I told you there's a way to actually see those forces, to map them out, and finally understand why things happen the way they do? That's exactly what we're going to get into right now.
All right, so to kick things off, let's dive into a classic business mystery. It's this phenomenon called the bullwhip effect, and it's often shown using something called the beer distribution game. Sounds fun, right? But what it reveals is pretty wild. How one tiny little event at one end of a system can unleash a massive tidal wave of chaos at the other.
Okay, so picture a really simple supply chain. You've got a factory making something, a wholesaler shipping it, a retailer selling it, and then us, the customers, buying it. Everything's chugging along just fine. But then, one week, customer demand shifts just a tiny bit, like a completely normal 5% little wobble. Harmless, right? What could possibly go wrong?
And this is where the trouble begins. The retailer sees that little 5% bump in sales, and they think, whoa, I better not run out of stock. So to be safe, they place a way bigger order, a 40% increase. I mean, you can see it right there. They're just trying to do their job, trying to be responsible. The problem is, they can only see their one little piece of the puzzle.
And you can just watch how that little bit of panic starts to snowball up the chain. The wholesaler gets that 40% order and they freak out a little. They think, oh my gosh, a huge surge is coming. So they double their order to the factory. Then the factory sees that order and they go into overdrive, ramping up production by a staggering 200%. So that tiny 5% ripple, it just became a tidal wave of overproduction. And you know what comes next? Massive cutbacks, layoffs, total chaos.
So, you gotta ask, right? Is everyone in this supply chain just bad at their jobs? Did they all sleep through math class? But here's the twist. The mystery isn't about people failing. It's about something much deeper, something hidden inside the very structure of the system they're all stuck in. And that brings us to a totally different way of looking at the world. The answer to this whole mystery isn't about blaming the players. It's about understanding the game board itself. Let me say that again. The problem isn't the people. It's the structure.
The guy who really gave us the keys to unlock this kind of thinking was an MIT professor named Jay Forrester. And this guy was a genius. I mean, he had this incredible career in engineering, leading the Whirlwind computer project, and even patenting magnetic core memory, which was basically the grandfather of modern RAM. But then, in 1956, he switched gears. He started looking at the world of management and wondering, why do big, smart companies, just like that supply chain, keep failing in these predictable, yet totally surprising ways?
And Forrester's big aha moment, which is captured perfectly in this quote, was this. Our gut instinct, our intuition about how complex things work, what he called our mental models, is just wrong. Most of the time anyway. We're really good at seeing one-off events, but we're terrible at seeing the hidden structures that cause them. We think in straight lines. A causes B. But the real world, it works in loops.
So, from that big idea, he created a whole new field, system dynamics. And what is that really? Well, at its heart, it's a method for seeing and mapping out those hidden structures in any complex system. It's all about focusing on the very things our brains are naturally bad at seeing, Things like feedback loops, those long delays between a cause and its effect, and relationships that aren't just simple straight lines.
Yeah, and the absolute core of this whole thing is the idea of feedback loops. It's where the results of an action circle all the way back around to influence the next action. So you've got two main types. First, there are reinforcing loops. Think of a snowball rolling downhill. The bigger it gets, the faster it picks up more snow, and the bigger it gets, and so on. More leads to more. Then you have balancing loops. These are all about stability. Think of the thermostat in your house. It keeps the temperature right where you want it. Once you start seeing these two kinds of loops, you can start to see how the whole system really works.
Okay, so once Forrester had this powerful new way of seeing things, he and his team started aiming higher. They started applying it to some of society's biggest, thorniest problems, moving beyond just corporations to the dynamics of entire cities, and eventually, to the fate of the whole planet. So back in the late 1960s, he tackled a huge issue that was plaguing cities all across America: urban decay. He built a computer model to try and figure out, why are all our best efforts to fix our cities, why are they failing so badly? Or even somehow making things worse?
And what he found was, well, it was shocking, totally counterintuitive. His model suggested that one of the most popular policies of the day, building more low-cost housing, could actually make poverty worse in the long run.
And the initial reaction, as you can see from this official in New York, was pure outrage. I mean, it sounded immoral. It seemed to fly in the face of everything people thought was right and compassionate.
But the model made the hidden feedback loops visible. Here's what was happening. The new housing attracted more people in need of jobs than the city's economy could actually support. This put a huge strain on city services, which led to higher taxes. Those higher taxes then pushed businesses to leave the city, which destroyed the very jobs people needed to get out of poverty. It was a tragic, vicious cycle. And for that official, seeing the entire system laid out like that, it was a total game changer, a complete aha moment.
And that led to this, just a stunning turnaround. His entire mental model had been flipped upside down. He could finally see the invisible structure that was trapping people in poverty, a structure that good, well-meaning policies were accidentally making stronger.
And this idea just took off. It scaled up incredibly fast. As you can see on the timeline, after tackling cities with urban dynamics, Forrester went even bigger. Just 2 years later, he published World Dynamics. And that model became the foundation for the hugely influential and super controversial 1972 report, The Limits to Growth. I mean, it sparked a worldwide debate about the very future of our planet. Now, this isn't just some dusty old history lesson. System dynamics today is an absolutely critical tool for helping us understand the massive, wicked problems we're all facing right now, from climate change to global pandemics. So, let's take climate change, for example. There's an award-winning simulator called C-Roads. It's a system dynamics model that lets leaders test out different emissions policies and see, right away, the long-term impact on global temperature. It's incredible. Or think about the COVID-19 pandemic. Models were essential for understanding all those complex feedback loops between things like vaccination rates, lockdowns, public health, and the economy. They help leaders make those impossible choices.
And look, this isn't just theory scribbled on a blackboard. It's all powered by some really sophisticated software. You've got professionals using powerful tools like PowerSim or Stella. But what's really cool is there are even free open-source tools like Insight Maker that make this whole way of thinking accessible to basically anyone.
But you know, at the end of the day, this is about so much more than fancy software or huge global problems. System dynamics is really a powerful mindset, a way of thinking that any one of us can learn and apply in our own lives.
Think of it like an upgrade for your own internal operating system for your mental models. It teaches you to start looking for the loops, to think about the time delays, and to really see the hidden structures that are shaping your work, your health, your entire life.
So let's just quickly run through the big takeaways here. Number 1, our gut instinct, it often lets us down when things get complicated. 2, the problem is usually the system's structure, not the people caught inside it. 3, keep an eye out for those hidden feedback loops and time delays. They're what cause all the weird, counterintuitive results. 4, building a model makes the invisible stuff visible, and it lets you test out ideas safely. And finally, and this is the most important one, thinking in systems is a skill. It's something we can all learn and get better at.
It really is a fundamental shift in how you see things. You stop asking, who's to blame for this? And you start asking, what's the structure here that's causing this pattern of behavior? It's just a more effective and, honestly, a more compassionate way to understand the world. And so that leaves us with one final question to think about. Now that you have this new lens, start looking around. Look at your job, at your community, even at your own personal habits, and ask yourself, what invisible systems are shaping your world?